This is Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Here now, Tony Bruschi.
In the echoing quiet of a cold, cement-floored room inside the Washington County Detention Center in Arkansas, Andrew James McGann stood before a judge August 14th of 2025. Every eye in that room, well, the only eyes allowed are on him. The judges, the prosecutors, the barest slivers glimpsed through the reflection. The public isn't allowed in. Cameras are barred. The rest of us can't watch. And in this surreal moment, he says just two words. When asked, "How do you plead?" Not guilty. The words feel small against what we already know, and within days of his arrest, he allegedly confessed to killing a couple on a hiking trail, Devil's Den, where their children ran for their lives. He's charged with 2 counts of capital murder. That means if convicted, he could face death. Prosecutors have said as much. There's a gag order likely on the way. McGann will remain locked up without bond until this wound of a case blooms into trial. No bail, no leniency, just the slow turning of a legal machine that the public can only observe from a distance. Let's go back to July 26, where this all began. It starts innocently. If you're just joining us, and I should tell you, if you want full insight on the case, this is the right place to get it. We've been covering it literally since it happened. We have interviews on this channel exclusively with people who saw him right before he struck, with the 911 dispatcher who talked with the children as they came screaming and running to the ranger station for help, with the help of a good Samaritan, saying they ran until they could not hear their mother's cries anymore. With a man who identified the vehicle accurately from his own security camera on the side of his home, right outside of the Devil's Den Park. And we have conversations as well with a hairstylist who was there when he was arrested. His hair became part of the crime scene. They started taking pictures, putting evidence markers on her salon floor. There's also conversations with his former hairstylist. I never talked to so many hairstylists in a case. His former stylist from Oklahoma, who saw him many times, even in spring. School was wrapping up. And before that as well. Helped him cut his hair many a times. Interesting conversations are all here on this channel, so go back and check those out if you want full context. But I'm going to try and get you caught up in case you're new to this one. Back on July 26th, it starts out very innocently. A family, Clinton and Cristen Brink, in their early 40s, just moved to the area, hiking with their daughters. Hiking is a big thing in northwest Arkansas where this took place. One of the largest trail systems in the country. Walmart is headquartered in this area. There's a lot of prosperity, a lot of happy neighborhoods, a lot of happy small towns. They happened to pick one to live in named Prairie Grove. I even lived there for a short period of time. It's not the kind of place you expect these sort of things to be going down at. They were hiking with their daughters, aged 7 and 9, into the thick hush in the shadows of Devil's Den State Park. No cell service there. A dense green silence that swallows sound and absorbs screams. Then that silence breaks. Clinton is overwhelmed, attacked from nowhere. A man allegedly runs up to him, stabs him in the chest. His wife screams, "Why are you doing this?" Cristen runs, dragging the girls, telling them to run as far and fast as they can. And she returns to try and help her dying husband. She ends up becoming the second victim. That tragic choice to return cost her life. The daughters escape further into the woods, into that terrifying space. They finally do reach help. A good Samaritan on the trail, because it's a busy day. It's a Saturday afternoon in the middle of summer. Finds these girls screaming and running. They get them to the ranger station. And those haunting words that I'm never going to forget that we heard from the 911 dispatcher. They ran until they couldn't hear their mother screaming anymore. Eventually, rescuers locate the parents. Heroes, prosecutors will say later. They protected those girls with everything, and they did. Days pass. A chaotic manhunt. Tips pour in. Police finally had a working tip line. It took them 3 days, by the way. Hikers, surveillance photos, urgent chatter and walkie-talkies. A black Kia Stinger spotted. The vehicle that police misidentified. But we actually identified the right one here. And they found it within 24 hours. Those two children, their descriptions, their survival becomes the linchpin. State police assemble clues, DNA from blood at the scene, a vehicle, an image, a name. Andrew James McGann. That's him right there. Looks like a lovely fella, doesn't he? And then July 30th, a barber's chair in Springdale, another one of many towns in northwest Arkansas, connected to Fayetteville, Bentonville, Rogers. It's all part of the same thing. His hairdresser, Adriana Ruiz Avalos, who we talked to right here, later says he looked kind of empty, sunken eyes, a little disheveled. He sat there, hair cape around him. As officers walked in, they cuffed him mid-cut. Not a dramatic chase, no bells, no lightning, just a quiet arrest. Less than an hour after that, in custody, investigators say he confessed. DNA matched he, who had licenses to teach in Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, whose past roles carried whispers of odd behavior, tickling girls, favoritism, inappropriate comments. Some of it dismissed in internal investigations, now confessed, allegedly, according to state police, to killing two innocent people in front of their young children. Let's pause, because that part, it matters. Not to cast aspirations or label him too soon, but to recognize the gulf between a man trusted to teach children and in those job histories, murmurs of concern, and then what he's now accused of, it shatters the simplest of explanations. Back to that courtroom, or lack thereof. On August 14th, the walls, the gloom of the detention center, the absence of public view. Judge Joanna Taylor, behind closed doors, orchestrated the bare minimum of procedure. He appointed a public defender. He pleads not guilty to both counts, and that's all. The machine is officially set in motion. The quarters are in the game, and the start button has been pressed. Prosecutors call this the start of a long fight. They say it may take longer than usual to reach trial. This won't be swift. This won't be neat. And for the world watching from screens and newsprint, it will feel slow, emotionally painful, and necessary. But there's more to this story, the dark unease lingering kind. Investigators are re-examining old cold cases. One in Wisconsin, a 2020 stabbing at Devil's Lake State Park. The other, a retired professor shot in Vermont in 2023. No link confirmed, but officials are checking DNA and patterns. If more crimes surface, this could be bigger than anyone realized. The darker possibility that McGann, if tied to one or more, might be more than a one-off, but that's still very speculative at this point in time. When you look at where he'd have to be at those points for those other murders, is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? I'd say not so much. So what does this mean for the public? For the two girls who ran away under brush and shadow and watched their parents die with the strength of survival. That moment writes their lives. In simple, crushing terms, their worlds are shattered and scarred forever. And they'll grow carrying that weight. For their extended family, every clear-eyed statement about heroes protecting their children is rooted in grief and in pride. For the community, parents, parkgoers, anyone who's ever walked a trail, the unease is sharp. How random was this? They just moved there. Their water connection was barely 2 weeks old. New beginnings, a new town, rush of excitement. And then this. And when random is the answer, that's the dark truth. There's no warning, no link, just violence. For those who once hired McGann, school officials in Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, the questions multiply. Investigators that found no wrongdoing, behavior that didn't result in consequences, but now looks like flashes of warning. After this, people look at those old reports differently, don't they? Even the most carefully compiled background checks can't capture intent. And for the justice system itself, that plea of not guilty is how the wheels turn. All capital cases, no exceptions. But here, feels jarring. How can someone who's reportedly already confessed turn and pledge innocence? But the stakes are almost unimaginable. And the system demands it. It's cold, and it demands a full fight. It ends for now with that single phrase in the courtroom, not guilty. The blankness around it is almost suffocating, but beneath it, emotional wells up where the words don't go. This edge of forest violence, a mother's courage, children lost in an almost fairy tale forest, a suspect with no obvious link, the legal silence, the public's removal, the slow, grinding promise of trial, the faint whisper of other victims, other scenes, the sheer randomness, the broken trust. There's no neat conclusion, no closure here. Just a community clinging to normalcy, two children clinging to their parents' memory, and a legal system settling into its inevitable, relentless pace. We sit in that silence now, feeling how much this shatters what we take for granted. And we wait, watching those two words, not guilty, echo in a courtroom no one got to see, waiting for the next moment we can all bear to understand what it means. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comment section on our YouTube channel. If you're not already there, search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. We will be covering this case start to finish. Will it get to a trial? Is this the beginning of possibly a plea agreement? That's what I'm going to guess. I don't see how you're going to argue this one in court. Your DNA's there. You're on camera, fleeing. Your car's on camera. You allegedly admitted to it. I'm thinking this will be one of those, let's take death off the table and put you away for the rest of your life like Brian Koberger type situations. But we'll see. Stranger things have happened. Tell me in the comments what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear them. Until next time. My name's Tony Bruschi. We'll keep covering this, and we will talk again real soon.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Bruschi and the Hidden Killers podcast.